Hello and welcome everybody to another lovely day here at the Waterhole. We are starting off in the beautiful Tendi Elephant Park in Putuland. And there are some elephant bulls here to greet us. How wonderful. My name is Amy and I will be with you for the show today. So I'm really looking forward to spending the next 2 hours with everyone and seeing what all happens at the Waterhole today. Now, this is, of course, a live and interactive show, so I most certainly do want to hear from all of you watching, so please let me know who you are, where you're watching from, anything in particular that you're hoping to see on the show today, maybe what you're looking forward to, what you love about Live at the Waterhole, or even if it is just to say hello. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions as well, you can pop that through to us now. You can do so in a number of different ways. Firstly, through the WildEarth app, if you are watching on there. Otherwise, if you're registered on the website, you can email us. Otherwise, you can pop any questions into the YouTube chat stream using @FC. Otherwise, you can join the conversation on X using the hashtag WildEarth. Oh, that elephant that's just come into frame has some very impressive tusks. You can see how they're coming forward and actually starting to curl. Is looking very much nice and warm here at Tembi. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of splashing about, maybe some throwing of mud. Oh wow, as we're moving around, so more elephants are appearing. Seems to be a whole bachelor herd that is here at the Waterhole today. Oh, I see a giraffe in the background. That's also wonderful to see. There were a few other animals around, which was good. Hopefully some of them make more of an appearance closer to the camera, like the warthogs and impalas. But I do see a bum of a giraffe there with its tail flicking from left to right. And as we move into the drier season now in southern Africa, we will see more and more animals congregating around the water holes where there is water deeper into the drier months. Jan, thanks for saying hello. It's good to hear from you as well. I hope you enjoy the show today, and thanks for being such a loyal viewer. This elephant started doing exactly what I thought we may see happen today, a bit of a splish splash. Ginnan, I really couldn't agree with you more. Tembe is, of course, famous for its elephants, and we are so lucky to have a front row seat to be able to watch them simply just doing their thing, like you say, watching, listening to them graze or having a drink. There's also some warthogs grazing in the background, a little herd of impalas on the left, Egyptian geese flying about. This elephant has a very torn ear. Do you see that, everyone? There, that's facing us at the moment. There's a whole section of it on the left that is sort of flopped forward. That's quite a serious tear in his ear. And the elephants can tear their ears a variety of ways, but of course, the longer that an animal with ears is out in the bush, the more wear and tear those ears see. It's one of the things that we use to actually give an idea of age when it comes to individuals. Granny Mango, you want to know if some of the elephants are born with tears in their ears? Look, anything's possible, and not that I've ever seen. It is something that may happen, not necessarily a tear or a cut, but actually perhaps something just genetically, that there's a little bit of a kink in the ear, or maybe part of it is missing on the actual pinna, which is the outer ear area. But unless something actually happens during the birth, that the ear gets snagged on something or is pulled and ripped. There's no real reason for there to be a tear as such, like we would see on older individuals that have had thorns hook or pulled by branches, or just, yeah, that sort of thing. That would really be the most common causes out here. Just that tattering of wearing day after day, walking through the thickets. Well, it's been a wonderful start to the show this afternoon here at Temi, but why don't we head over to Tau and see what's happening at Madikwe. Oh wow, well, speaking of animals congregating around the waterhole, this is amazing. I don't know when last I've seen such a large herd of ellies here at Tau. Of course, I have been away for a little while, so probably not the best reference at this point, but when I was last on the show in March, we definitely didn't have any large herds like this coming around Tau, so it's fantastic to see that they've moved back into the area. And also plenty of zebras. Those look like two elephant bulls. The one is definitely a lot larger than the other. In fact, I think that is the main sort of dominant bull of this, well, I don't want to say of this herd, although he is associating with this herd probably because he'd like to try and mate with them at some point. I'm just wondering if that is a bull or a cow. Difficult to exactly see at this particular point, but sometimes younger bulls will go up and they'll have that sort of, it looks like, affectionate exchange with some of the more dominant bulls. But it's incredible to actually see the size of a bull elephant in comparison to the cows and their offspring. It really is amazing how much larger they are. And I see there's also some wildebeest that are moving in the background, and there was a little elephant in between all the others at some point, but it's also moving here, there, and everywhere. Oh, that elephant, I think. Oh, I thought it was going to chase the zebras away. Oh, the little one's just running through the background, the little elephant. That was quite sweet. The spoonbills are still here at town, also feeding frantically, hunting, finding something to eat. Two rather large bulls here in the area, and one younger calf in the middle. I think the rest of the herd would still be around. We've just moved off slightly. And Karen, you've actually asked a very interesting question about herbivores and if these have to change when they sort of start weaning, which is terms for moving off and starting to die grass, different vegetation that they might find. So, Karen, the stomach itself will still be the same stomach in terms of it's a ruminant. It will be born with a ruminant stomach. If it's a hindgut fermenter like an elephant or a zebra, it'll still have that hindgut fermenting type of stomach. But it's not a particular subject that I must say I know too much about, but I would assume that because a baby animal it needs milk in the beginning of its life. It can't digest for various reasons, also with regards to the teeth coming in and all sorts of things that it actually can't chew and break down the vegetation that it needs. I think there would be, when they start being able to actually feed on grass and vegetation, and that is because of a variety of factors, most importantly being the growth of their teeth inside their gums, which means that they no longer have to just survive on milk. Once those teeth come through and then they start, tasting grass and, adding more and more of it to mom's milk, is that the stomach, sort of the enzymes, the bacteria, the sort of things that are within the stomach, and I suppose similar to humans in that way, do start to change, and that actual makeup of the stomach is adjusted. But I think it always contains the necessary things to be able to break down and extract nutrients from what the animal is eating. Whether that first is milk, and then once it starts eating grass and vegetation, it then adapts to be able to take that in. Of course, being a herbivore, that is what it specializes in, and its stomach is made to be able to tolerate that and extract the nutrients from the cellulose of those plants. So There's definitely, I think, a change that happens once grass and vegetation starts entering the stomach, but the stomach itself does not change in construction or in terms of what it actually looks like. It would still be the same type of stomach. Well, it seems like today is all about elephants. Let's head over to Kwamaritan and see the elephants that are at that waterhole. We are now a little bit further south from Madikwe in the Pilanesberg National Park, and there is, looks like, a mom elephant and two calves that have come for a drink and maybe on their way to turn around and head off, although they are pausing at the moment. Now, this may constitute the entire herd. A female with her calves could both be hers, but there may be other elephants that we just can't see. It is quite thick in the area here. I think with the other one that's just moved off, its mom might be a little bit further away. You can see this one sticking closer by to this female. Made a decision to change their path. Interesting. Don't know what they heard or smelt, or maybe they're still a little bit thirsty. Oh. And off they go. Well, that was wonderful to see here at Kwamaritan. But while those elephants head off, let's head back over to the ones at Tau. Oh wow, some kudus have arrived, everyone. That is fantastic. Look at that, one male on the left with the horns and two females following behind. Tony, you say hi. Amy, it's great to see such fabulous animals. Such a joy to watch. Couldn't agree with you more, Tony. It is fantastic. What variety we've seen already today. We're only about half an hour into the show, and it really has been wonderful. Ooh, Shiv, you say good afternoon, Amy. Hope you're well. Could we see some crocs today, please? Well, Shiv, we are in the right place to try and see a croc. I actually was literally just looking on the bank to check if I could spot any. I haven't yet, but this is a great place to be able to see a crocodile. Quite a few water birds, as always, out and about, as well as we scan around to see if we can find a crocodile. There's an elephant that is still drinking as well. Oh, maybe it's going to come across, or maybe it's going to have a mud bath. Who knows? Some of them actually come over to where the green grass is and start feeding, especially some of the bulls love to do that. Gabrielle, you want to know, are there any predators around or do they come out later in the day? So, Gabrielle, generally predators would come out later in the day, or earlier in the day, depending how you want to look at it. But either very early or late, just because of the heat factor, and so the middle of the day, it gets quite warm. Not to say that we won't see anything. There's always a possibility that something may make an appearance in the middle of the day. All right, everyone, let's have a look at the clip that happened a little while ago, actually, at one of our waterholes called Oldonyo, and there was a very special animal that came down to drink. Well, how amazing was that, everyone? Wow. Absolutely epic. I cannot believe that was what happened at Oldonyo. Striped hyena in the daylight. Absolutely amazing. And how lovely now. Oh my word, that little one was giving the wildebeest a fright. There it comes again. Oh, it's so brave. I love when they put out their ears like that and lift their heads, making themselves look big. Very brave to chase those wildebeest. Little bit naughty, but very brave. Well, lovely now to come back and see these waterbuck feasting away. They weren't here that I could see in the beginning. They've definitely moved across back to the side. And what lovely sweet green grass for them to enjoy. Definitely where I would be if I was looking for a delicious snack. Stephanie, you are wanting to know, when do elephants get full control of their trunk? It's a good question. They start really playing around with it as soon as they're born, but that control develops over time. And eventually, I would say by a year mark, they've sort of got a really good idea of their trunk. I wouldn't say necessarily they've mastered it, but they're definitely able to use it to feed, to drink with. And by 2-3 years, I would say they've got full ability to use it. But that's up in the air. And those are just my estimates, definitely. But it does take a good little while for them to master the art of using their trunk. Shiv, you've asked, what's the size difference between a spotted and a striped hyena? It's a good question, and it is nice to be able to give you all an idea with that striped hyena, which, like I say, is a very rare sighting and really awesome that we're able to see that out in that Africam clip. So spotted hyenas are the largest of the Hyenidae family. The females can weigh up to around 80 kgs, which is a very large female. Males a little bit less than that, probably around 60 kgs or so. The striped hyena is more similar to the size of the brown hyena, which is the other species in the family, and they can weigh anywhere from, let's say, between 20 to 50 kgs. So it's a lot smaller in size, and they also have a little bit of I think of the striped hyena as being more the punk rock cousin of the hyenas. The brown hyena is got a much similar body shape as well, very heavily sloped back, just like the striped hyena. The spotted hyena also, but not as extreme. I find they are more balanced weight within their body, even though they do have that sloping shoulder, but far less furry in comparison to the striped and brown hyenas. The last member of the Hyenidae family is the aardwolf, which is a lot smaller. It's something that we see more again in the drier parts, similar to brown hyenas' drier areas of South Africa, although there have been rare sightings in in more sort of, I would say, let's say, wetter areas where you wouldn't usually associate aardwolf and brown hyena. So there we go. Shiv, the striped hyena falls a lot smaller than the spotted hyena, which we're all very familiar with in the greater Kruger region. And in East Africa as well, they've also got big clans of spotted hyena. They actually are throughout Africa. Looks like there are some more zebras on their way towards the water. We have 4 big bulls just chilling now. You can see some of them have splashed a bit of mud on themselves, and now they're having a bit of a rest. I do wonder what they are chatting about, if anything. Phil, we were thinking the same thing. I was just saying, I wonder if they're communicating about anything. I mean, they could be, but I also feel like they are just taking a chance to chill. You can see the one on the right, well, actually, at least 3 of them have their trunks on the ground. The one on the far right is showing that very nicely for us. So just completely relaxing those muscles, not using their trunk at all. And often that is when an elephant is resting. I don't want to say sleeping because their eyes would still be open. They're still aware, but they sort of zone out a little bit. Sandy, yes. So the striped hyena is definitely more seen as a solitary animal, hardly ever seen in groups, just like the brown hyena and the aardwolf. So it's really only the spotted hyena within the Hyenidae family that creates clans and has a matriarchy and is in a sort of social group. The rest of that family are solitary animals. And one may ask, well, why? And it's an interesting one, and we'll never know exactly why some animals have adapted to be in social groups and others not. There's benefits either way. Of course, a solitary life means that you, of course, are very vulnerable, but then there's more resources available to you. You don't have to share your food. You don't have to worry about other members of your group. You can go about your existence and do what you need to do. But of course, a group of animals gives you strength in numbers. You've got other people members, sorry, of the family or of the clan, of the herd, of the pride to defend you and to have your back, as it were. But then, of course, there's the sharing of resources, and that's also a risk of its own. So it works either way, but for the striped hyena, it has chosen more of the solitary, or adapted to more of the solitary life. can see these elephants having a bit of a dust bath now. Getting some of that loose ground to stick onto their wet bodies. Joanne, you'd like to know if there's a reason for the ring around the bum of waterbucks? Yes, I suppose there is. It's said that the markings, we see it on waterbucks, we see it on impalas, we see it on kudus, on lions, on leopards. The sort of brighter color, or let's say white or black, that's seen from the back of an animal is often said to be the follow me sign for the young ones to be able to, or not even young ones, but sometimes just members of a herd or a group to be able to follow another individual, as that color stands out in comparison to the rest of their bodies. Why it is a ring, I cannot answer you. It's something that was particularly for that waterbuck, for the common waterbuck, that it has a ring, a white ring around its rump. It's most interesting, very unique to that species and easy to identify. But the general sort of understanding for that ring or any sort of dark or light marking on an animal is for a follow me sign when moving through the bush or the grass. Well, we have just lost the feed there, everyone, so we've hopped over to Namibia, to Okukuyo, and we are enjoying a very peaceful scene as always. I did see there were some animals here earlier in the day. Hopefully we'll see one or two springbuck, maybe some gemsbok, who knows what's going to pop out. I can also see that it's gotten a lot greener here in between the little patches of greenery that have popped out since the last time I was at Okukuyo. Well, while we wait to see what else happens and when we get our Africam feedback up, let's have a look at a very interesting clip of some giraffes that were crossing the Olifants River. Well, that was fascinating, everybody. Wow. I feel like that giraffe got all the way to the other side and literally had 2 steps to go and then decided to turn around. I don't know what spooked it, but the poor giraffes, I hope they made it eventually across the river. But maybe there was a serious threat like a crocodile or a lion lying behind the bush. I mean, they are so cautious to begin with, so temperamental and very careful, and don't ever want to be caught in any danger. So crossing the river is quite a big undertaking for them. Well, everyone, the elephant day continues. Let's head over to Jamala and see what's happening at that waterhole. Oh, well, how fantastic. As always, Jamala is where the party is at. Always love to see the little ones coming into the water as well. Endlessly entertaining. There's a few that have collapsed on the far side. one or two unhappy elephants. But it always is like that when you have a whole group of them, different family groups coming together, some cheeky ones in between, a bit of playing going on as well. Lenny, hello. You'd like to know how common it is for giraffes to voluntarily cross bodies of water? Not very common, I would say, at all. In fact, it's something that with that giraffe clip that we saw earlier, I don't think I've actually... Someone's making a bit of a mud wallow. It's not something that I've ever seen giraffes do very often at all, if ever. Whether it be a waterhole or a river. A river would really be the only reason, because a waterhole in isolation, they can just walk around. The risk of them walking through water is so great. It's everything that they hate in terms of the unknown. They can't see what's in the water. They know that there's potentially dangerous things like crocodiles, for example. So I think it's sort of like a worst nightmare for a giraffe to have to cross a water body. So it's definitely not something they do very often. But if they have to, they have to. And in that case, that particular giraffe actually decided against it at the end of the day. But they may have decided to try again a little bit later on. Darcy Miller, hello, good to hear from you. You say you love the vocalizations. It is wonderful to hear them having their chats and conversations. Tony, hello to you. Thanks for joining us today on the show. You say it's fabulous to see such wonderful creatures. They are such a joy to watch, and what a wonderful opportunity that we have to be able to spend time with them and just enjoy them doing their thing. You can see almost some ghost elephants have arrived in comparison to the others that have wet themselves. MDC, hello. You say you just love seeing a herd of ellies. It is fantastic, especially when they're in the water and there's a little one there as well, which is amazing. Very, very cute. Looks like they're two small ones walking towards the water now as well, flapping their trunks. Spa, so good to hear from you. You say today Jamala and Tao have made your day with the great herbivore activity. Thank you, Amy. It's a pleasure. I've also been enjoying it just as much as all of you at home, being able to see such diversity. But Jamala so far can hear some birds and lots of elephants. But at Tao, we're treated with quite a bit of varieties: zebras, wildebeest, kudus, and of course elephants. Just seems like the elephants are in endless supply here at Jamala. Oh, there are some warthogs that have just arrived, everyone. I think they're going to try navigate their way to the water. Oh, the little one's chasing it. Very, very naughty elephant. I'm sure they also just want a bit of a mud wallow today. Well, it's been a fabulous day with elephants so far, but why don't we go have a look at something a little bit different up at Victoria Falls? Oh, well, this is wonderful. There is a marabou stork there, everyone, as well as what looks like to be a hooded vulture. Spas, interesting question, and one that there was something walking in the background. Is that? Oh, it's another bird. I thought maybe it was some form of antelope. But birds have a few different methods. Um, One of them sometimes is to find shade for sure. Sometimes they also open their beaks and let the air sort of move over their tongues and the inside of their mouths, which helps cool them down. They'll often sit with their beaks open. And then, of course, just like these storks are doing, sometimes being around water, wetting their feet, drinking, that can also help cool them down. But a fascinating bird, absolutely huge bird, these marabou storks. But also part of the cleanup crew of the bush, and so important to cleaning off carcasses and getting rid of dead material. Not the prettiest bird, actually a member of the ugly five, but that sort of baldness and sort of shape of their very long bills and that sort of thing is, and the bareheadedness is all to do with keeping themselves clean around carcasses. Now, often we do see many vultures and marabou storks in this area. Oh, there's a crocodile moving at the back. We had a request for crocodile today. And there is one hopefully coming a little bit closer. When it comes to marabou storks, you may have noticed they're very... Oh, there's a sacred ibis there on the right as well. Very white legs, and that actually has to do with keeping cool. So particularly not for vultures as well, but for marabou stork spas in particular, that white on the legs is from their urine and the way that they help keep themselves cool. That urine dries and turns white on the legs, which helps reflect light and keep them cooler. Known as urohydrosis for anyone who is interested in that. You can actually see that coloration on the legs now quite nicely, with the very black feet. Of course, with walking in water, that washes off the uric acid that has dried on the legs. And that's why they do it, because they have such long black legs. They have adapted to be able to basically pee on themselves, and then that dries and turns white, which helps cool them down. Sandy, you'd like to know how tall the marabou stork is? It is about 5 feet or 150 centimeters, so 1.5 meters in height. Very impressively large bird. We've had a few questions about these marabou storks, and they are fascinating birds, everyone. And probably one of the most prominent features that we see here is that very large sack that's hanging below their heads. And there was a question from Grant about specific mating rituals and if they mate for life. And also Diane was asking about that sack. Now those two questions are linked because that sack is actually part of their mating ritual. And it is inflated, which is supposed to, impress the female, but also helps create a sort of very guttural croaking noise, calling that they use that sack to create. So it's not what we sort of familiar with some birds known as a crop, where extra food is stored, like in vultures, for example. That sack is actually part of their mating display. And in terms of whether they mate for life, Grant, they do indeed. So a pair will form a very strong bond that will last for life. I've never actually seen marabou storks displaying or performing their mating ritual, but I would love to see it one day. I think it would be very impressive. It actually looks like this marabou stork that's on the left is a juvenile. You can see it's a little bit smaller, it hasn't quite developed its full plumage. Slightly smaller as well. Still quite a fluffy head there, so maybe a chick that has left the nest but still has to grow up a little bit more. It's also lovely to actually have a look at this waterhole We often just view the vulture feeding that happens at 1 p.m. and then it's quite a frenzy, and I haven't had time to actually spend looking around the waterhole, so it's lovely to see the animals here. So many birds, different species. There was a yellow-billed stork, it looked like a great egret as well, sacred ibis, hooded vultures, as well as of course the marabou storks. Oh, that looks like a heron, grey heron. You often actually see when it comes to marabou storks, them congregating together, and I've actually seen it's very impressive when they all start soaring, similar to that of vultures. Sometimes a whole group of them will actually soar together, find a thermal and rise very, very high. And with them being such massive birds, it really is something to behold when there are possibly 100 of these birds all together soaring. Oh, there's actually quite a few of these vultures hiding in the shade. 3 there, a few more to the right. And the hooded vulture is the smallest of the vultures that we find in the area. Very much adapted for getting in right at the end of a carcass. Much smaller, slimmer beak to get into the little nooks and crannies that you find within bones and things like that. And even known to eat predator scat to feed off of that, because it passes through basically the same nutrients as what you would find from raw meat or carcasses and things like that. Well, it really has been lovely here to spend some time with these birds, but we are going to head all the way over to Stony Point. to the Western Cape, Betty's Bay in South Africa, and there are a few gulls, it looks like, that I'm trying to balance on this kelp that's floating here on the west coast. Well, southwest coast. Cannot be the easiest way to fish for something when this kelp is just moving with the tide. Could even play a game with who can balance the best, who can balance for the longest. Oh my word, there is a pied kingfisher, everyone. That is awesome. I honestly can't say I expected to see a pied kingfisher today at Stony Point. But there it is, fishing for fish. Well, it has been wonderful to see this kingfisher. It did pop down and go for a fish and come back again. You can see there's quite a breeze there as well. Have a look at its feathers, how they are just being blown on top of its head there. Corenzo, you'd like to know, why does the seaweed look like power cables? That's a very appropriate description, Corenzo. Thanks for the welcome as well. It's a specific type of seaweed called kelp that grows in the Atlantic Ocean. Because of the cold Benguela current, there's a particular type of kelp that grows in what we call kelp forests, and this is some of it that's actually washed up towards the shore. So it does look like long, thick cables, and they actually grow in forests. So that is why they look that way. But yes, correct. So it's particular for this area of South Africa along this coastline that we find this particular kelp. But everyone, we are coming to the end of the show now. Thank you so much for joining me and the team here at Live at the Waterhole. We've had a fantastic day with you all and really enjoyed such variety, and ending off here at Stony Point with the gulls and the kingfisher and the kelp has been fantastic. Thank you to everyone who sent through comments and questions. We, as always, very, very much appreciate it. And I'll be back with you tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that already as we spend some more time at the waterholes, and who knows what is going to be in store for us then. I do hope that you all have a wonderful day or evening ahead, depending where you are in the world. And I will see you all again tomorrow.